Hello, my name is Gray.
And my name is Crystal.
This is Bus Station Beauties, a supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show several times,
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we are both Asian.
both Asian. For today's episode, holy shit, I still have not.
What?
I still don't know
Watched
the. No!
Okay.
I have in fact watched the episode we're about to discuss. I just don't know who the writers are. Let me see.
Rail Tucker, which you can tell because she uses herself in the then sequence, and then near the end, Sam's attitudes about hunting directly mirror the ones that she put on him in Hunted that didn't make any goddamn sense.
Today we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 20, What Is and What Should Never Be, written by, as Crystal said, Rael Tucker, directed by
Boo!
Mr. Eric Kripke himself. Yeah,
God.
baby girl.
Did he direct what? Okay, I'm gonna look at what he has directed before. I want to know why he thought this episode was so special.
He has
that
not.
had to
This is
direct it.
this is his first episode that he directed.
Oh my
and
god!
allegedly,
He's just like, Dean is such a baby girl that I simply must. Allegedly,
no,
what?
allegedly, they had like to draw lots or something for what episode they're gonna direct, and he ended up, or like he chose episode 20, but at the time they didn't know that episode 20 was gonna be this. So this is
So
not like
true.
a
He
matter
thought
of
it would be plot and not a deviation.
Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. We usually reserve our full thoughts of the episode at the end. But I feel like this episode deserves a pre-thought, like a pre-episode thought discussion. So
Okay.
let's talk about my thoughts of
Yes.
this episode. I have a love-hate relationship with this episode. I hate it because it's so unrelated to what's happening in season 2. And I feel like if I just watched it by itself, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But because we're watching it in chronological order, it falls flat. Like, it physically, like, it actually angers me that it's here.
Yeah.
Because it's so irrelevant.
Yeah.
And, like, next episode, we're gonna have a 2-part finale. And this is the episode prior to that? Why?
Because season 2 is about Dean and about how he doesn't want to kill Sam. That's what they've decided. They've decided that Sam doesn't matter.
Yeah. And it's so evident in this episode that they really do not give a fuck about that guy. Like, that guy barely exists in their head.
Oh, sorry, Sam.
I would say I like the episode apart from that, though. Because the heart of the show and the heart of this episode is family, and that's why I like it, you know. And because this episode is so family centered, I did shed some tears in like certain
for real?
scenes. Yes, for real. And yeah, like it's good as a solo episode. I think like when you think about this one, you should think about it as separate from the season. Because if you don't, it sucks.
Yeah, I feel like it would work better as a season 1 or season 3 episode.
Like we said last time, season 3 is the prime time for this episode to be happening.
Yeah. The Jin's argument that Dean should stay is a lot stronger in season 3 because it's like he's gonna die in 6 months anyway.
I hate this episode, but I love it. I can't help it. Okay. before going in, what did you know about this one?
Right, so I knew that the monster in it would be a djinn, and that Dean gets put in some dream world where his mom didn't die, but John did. Hell yeah. And that he has a girlfriend there named Carmen, who he finds out later is in a beer ad. Okay, I feel like I just know everything in this episode, actually.
Yeah, just everything. Because it's a very, very prominent, very in the culture of SPN episode.
It's considered a Dean thesis.
Yeah, it is considered that. God, can you believe the last 3 episodes are like this before the finale where we're supposed to care deeply about Sam?
Right. Hollywood Babylon, Folsom Prison Blues, what is and what should never be. Like, Sam is not a character in any of these. Like, he's actually, I feel like he's made to be somewhat unlikable in all of them, actually. It's the lead up to him being, like, put into the Hunger Games, and the whole thing is like, Dean is such a silly, fun little guy who doesn't want to hunt anymore, and Sam's just a judgmental bitch. Like, that is not the correct lead up to the finale.
Yeah. Okay, let's start. So, the road so far in this episode is pretty good. I will admit. Okay, I'll take that as it's not, and okay, fine.
No further debate, I agree.
I do not feel strongly enough to fight for my fucking life for the road so far of this episode.
I just think it's silly that they basically replayed the entire pilot beginning scene. Like, we know that Mary died of a fire. Like, you say it a lot.
I mean, maybe the reason why I like it is because it's different. It's not like Dad wants us to pick up where he left off. Saving people. Like, it's not that, so...
So we open on a license plate that says CNK80Q3. And it's Baby, but they changed her name because of the cops being after them, I suppose. It only took them, like, 20 encounters for them to consider it.
By Kaz. That's the Impala's old name.
Yeah.
You are now cynic.
Conk. So, yeah, Dean gets a call, and Sam's in a motel room, and he's worried about a cop car outside, but it eventually drives away, so it was a false alarm. Sam's not happy about being a fugitive, but Dean says, "Hey man, chicks dig the danger vibe." Okay. And Sam's reading a lot of book about djinns, which, speaking of, are not portrayed accurately in the Supernatural episode, and we have several facts about them from the AKA Angel Hannah on the Tumblr that we will sprinkle throughout when they become relevant. Thank you, B, for that work. Right, and he asks Dean about a case that they're working where there were a lot of missing victims, and Sam's pretty sure that they're hunting a djinn. And Dean seems to know nothing about them. He's like, what, a genie? Do they grant wishes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they've never encountered.
Yeah, but somehow he knows about the silver knife dipped in lamb's blood part, which seems like something that you'd need a lot of prior background knowledge on, at least in the world of Supernatural, where that's how you defeat a djinn. Who knows? I guess Sam wouldn't let him hang up without having that information via text at some point. Yeah, so he says that they're powerful enough, and he says they're not exactly like Barbara Eden and harem pants, which I guess is something that happened in a movie somewhere.
That sounds bad, so let's just not get into it.
Yeah. Right.
Unless you want to.
No, yeah. And he says that jinn have been feeding off people for centuries and that they're all over the Quran. Which is true. But you'd think that if he read that source, then he would know that the lamb's blood knife doesn't actually work. So, and Dean, for some reason, is just like, oh my god, Barbara Eden was so hot. Like, it's been 30 seconds of Dean on screen, and so far he's talked about wanting to fuck women twice. Like, is there a writing reason for this, or is that just Dean?
Okay, here's the thing. To answer your question, like, is there a writing reason for this? I don't fucking know. But, this entire episode is just reeks of misogyny.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
so funny near the end when, like, Jin Sam is like, please don't go, Dean, and then a girl band manifests from around him.
No, it's so evident that Supernatural really does see women as solely, like, mothers and, like, wives and girlfriends. You know, like, these women don't have inner lives.
Yeah.
They're just here. And I get that, like, it's, like, complicated in that this is, like, the dream world of a misogynistic man.
Dean.
So it's like it's misogynistic for that reason. But you can argue the same about Supernatural, especially up until this point of the show, that, like, a lot of the women that show up on screen really just only serve that as that purpose, as love interests, or as fucking baby incubators. You know, it's just Jesus, man.
Yeah. Also, we have to remember that this was written by Rael Tucker, one of the creators of the Andrea-verse.
Andrea-verse is still the funniest, like, thing that we've developed in this podcast. Literally, the amount of women in this Andrea Supernatural verse is astounding.
Yeah, good for all of them, or not. Yeah, Sam says that jinns usually live in ruins where they hide out. And Dean says, okay, I found a place and I'll go check it out. And Sam goes, wait, come pick me up first. And Dean's like, no. And that's this entire season. Yeah, he says, I'm sure it's nothing. I just want to take a look around. Which is, like, more callous than Dean usually is about cases with potentially dangerous creatures, right? Like,
well, he did go down into that fucking... Like, when he's alone, he's stupid as shit for some reason. Like, remember that time in Scarecrow where he just went down into the haunted thing without, like, any weapons or whatever?
Yeah.
And you were like, why does he not have any weapons? And it's like, well, because he's stupid as fuck, that's why.
So true. I was gonna try to make a theory that something in him subconsciously was like, I want a wish granted and I don't want Sam there for it. But you're right, he's just stupid, actually. He shows up to some factory and he goes through, it's abandoned, and he's looking around, it's dark and stuff. And then suddenly, this bald white guy with face tattoos shows up. Oh my god. Yeah, so, right. B has told us that jinns can't actually be seen. You only see a vision of them that they create. And it's usually a person that you know, not a bald white guy with face tattoos.
I feel like that's such a missed opportunity on Supernatural's behalf.
Like, it could literally be Mary right now, you guys.
I imagine like this episode, but instead of stabbing himself, Dean has to stab Mary.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't we do that? Why did he not have to kill his mother that he wished to come alive?
God,
to kill the Jinn.
Right. Like, we already know that Dean is suicidal. Like, been there, done that. Make him kill Mary.
Make him kill his own mother.
Yep. And they can also possess someone or something. And basically they live in a realm that we can't see because their true forms can drive a man mad. Neat. So this guy shows up and he, like, attacks Dean, and then his hand starts glowing blue in the jankiest special effect I've ever seen, and his eyes glow, and he puts his hand on Dean's forehead, and Dean passes out, and we get our splash screen.
I actually read in the wiki that the blue flame in their hand is a reference to the fact that, like, according to the lore, like, jinns are made from
from fire,
fireless, like from fire, from smokeless fire, I think is the term that they used in the wiki. So at least they were trying to do something.
Yeah.
So Dean wakes up and he's hashtag shirtless in a hashtag house. In hashtag bed. Why am I doing this?
Also, the necklace he's wearing isn't the Samulet.
It's different. It's not the Samulet, yeah.
Right, so he just wears a necklace. Like, he bought one and he wore it because he's our special jewelry boy. And also, he wasn't on top because or else it would have swung and hit Carmen in the face. Just a thought.
I mean, sure, yeah.
I mean, you can't wear necklaces in bed if you're on top. Like, it will hit people in the face.
I mean, I've never had occasion to wear a necklace while on top, but
I've talked to friends who wanted to keep their jewelry on in bed and couldn't because it kept swinging and hitting their partner in the face.
Anyway, he wakes up and there's a woman, and of course we get like a shot of her legs as it pans up her body.
Yeah.
Because this is Supernatural, in case you forgot. And so Dean is like, okay, what is happening? So he gets up and he's now wearing a Henley. OMG! Okay. He's wearing a Henley this episode, and I feel like this is really the first time that at least I have noticed Dean wearing a Henley. And in my head, this is like the Dean look, you know? And I know, like, most people will probably say it's the leather jacket or like a flannel, the red one from like when he was a demon, or like the bisexual one, the purple one or something.
It's such a stretch. It's barely purple, you guys. I'm sorry.
Well, I support people who call it the bisexual shirt. But for me, the Dean look is the Henley, and I am miserable because whenever I look up Henley, like on stores here in the Philippines, like nothing shows up. People don't call anything Henley here, and I have never found it in like a department store or anything. So I still don't have one, which is very misery inducing.
Yeah.
But one day I will, and I will be like, OMG, I'm just like Dean Winchester for real.
So true. Let's talk about his interior design in this home that he supposedly lives in. First off, he has a TV in his bedroom, right? But it's on the side wall, like on his side of the bed. So he literally bought a TV to put in his room that only he can watch.
You're right.
Sick in the head. Also, in the kitchen, we see that he has a guitar. I'm gonna say that Carmen plays it, though.
Dean canonically knows how to play the guitar.
Oh, really? From when?
Yeah.
A karaoke episode, or?
No, from Bad Boys.
Is that the one where he gets sent to the boys' home for shoplifting because John's the worst man alive?
Yeah, it's that one. I think he plays the guitar there with his GF Robin.
Aw. Yeah, okay,
so
the thing is, I don't think I could take any Dean doing music seriously because now I'm just like, that's just Jackals trying to promote Radio Company.
Okay, not to bash Radio Company, but like, why is it called Radio Company?
Yeah.
I literally... That's such a bad name, right?
I agree.
Radio Company. What's the name of your music label? Radio Company? So is it called Radio? No. It's called Radio Company.
Also, that song that everyone's like all like gaga over because like it
You
might
were
be
watching over me? That one?
Yeah. The lyrics are so generic and the song is so boring. And like, sorry if this is about someone who died in your life, like genuinely, like if that's your way of expressing it, then like good for you. But like we don't need to care about it. Like that's for you. Like I don't care about it because it's not good.
Wait, I'm looking up the lyrics. Radio Company.
Lay it on, it on, it on, it on. Now that I can see, couldn't bear to talk, without the will to breathe. Without the will to breathe.
We're so mean. I'm gonna cut off half of this. Because it's so mean. But yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I've listened to a bit of Radio Company because we've had mutuals. Oh, we still have them. We have mutuals who are like, oh, but the songs are actually decent. Like, the songs are actually good. Like, you should give them a shot. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot then. And I was sorely disappointed. I think I've said this before, either in an outtake or over here. But, like, I feel like Radio Company songs try so hard to be deep, and then I read the lyrics and they're just completely fucking incomprehensible. And like,
maybe that's because Jensen Ackles is too smart for you, Gray.
Yeah, exactly. That must be the reason why. I am way too stupid for Radio Company's caliber of songwriting.
Exactly.
Anyway. Dean walks around and he calls Sam.
Yeah.
And
okay, did you see what was on Sam's fucking
yes!
phone?
I took a picture. I'm going to recite it.
I'm going to
recite it. So, Sam Winchester texting Christopher Cooper. Here goes. Hey, dude. ... How are you doing, man? I'm doing pretty darn good. I'm doing pretty darn good myself. I've been meaning to sit down and write you, but I've been so darn busy. I've been meaning to call too. But hey, what's a fella to do? I'm in love with this.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely. Why does he type
Need
like
me
this?
some dick from a man who types like this.
First of all, they can say damn in Supernatural.
Yeah. So Sam just doesn't.
It sounds just like I'm texting my highbrow friend who definitely 100% does not curse. And
right. And I'm sure lawyers curse all the time in the office. Like, have you seen Suits? I haven't either, but I'm sure there's curse in there.
I mean, have you seen Better Call Saul? I haven't either, but I'm sure they also curse.
Have you
in there.
seen the Extraordinary Attorney Woo? They don't curse in there, but I'm sure they do actually.
Yeah, have you played Ace Attorney Investigations 2? It's the best game in the franchise, and they don't curse there. But he isn't a lawyer for half of it, so that's the reason why.
God, also, oh God, are we, okay, so we're assuming this is like a fellow Stanford friend that we haven't met yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I suppose so.
I think that he's an ex, and that's why Sam is typing like this. Like, oh my God, yeah, like I had so much fun that night 10 years ago. Sorry for not calling back for the whole time. I've just been so darn busy, by the way. I'm engaged now, so stop texting me.
Exactly. Yeah, but Sam picks up, and at this point, we're still not aware that Dean is in a dream world where the Sam is different. Mm-hmm. So Sam picks up, and you think he's gonna respond about the case or something. Mm-hmm. But Dean says, like, some things about the case, and Sam doesn't know, and he says, "Don't quit playing, like, the gin got to me." And Sam is like, "What, you've been drinking gin?" Which is the beginning of a running thing in this episode where everyone assumes Dean is drunk all the time, implying that he has a history of drinking in this universe and is quite possibly an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Sad. This is like when Sam called. This is when I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna end up crying this episode.
Aww.
Because I mean, there's a scene later where we can really get into it, but just the whole thing of like having a sibling that you're not close with is a very sad idea for me. And they really fucking hammer it in this episode. Like, Sam and Dean do not get along, and as we will see later, I think Sam kind of actively hates the guy. And it's sad, and it made me really emotional, like, watching this episode because of that, and also the Mary stuff. Anyway, Sam is insisting that Dean is drunk dialing him, and Dean is like, oh, whatever. Sam hangs up, and he closes the book he's reading that we think is about lore, and it's
Criminal Law and Procedure. Go law boy, go.
Yeah. Go law boy, go. At this point, he's in law school already, right?
Yeah, well, right, because right now he'd be like 24, so yeah, I guess he'd still be in grad school. Oh, he's so young! He's a little baby! Okay, anyway. So, right, Dean investigates the room a bit. He sees that there's a lot of mail in the house, some of which is addressed to Carmen Porter at 53 Bark Avenue in Lawrence, Kansas, and some mail that's addressed to Dean here. And Dean's confused about it being Lawrence and about him supposedly living here. And Carmen wakes up and just does the typical girlfriend thing where she's like, honey, what are you doing up? Oh, you can't sleep? Well, why don't you come back to bed and let's see if I can do anything to help. Oh, like, okay. Has anyone actually said any of these words in this order, like, in real life?
I mean, I'm sure it has happened, but the way Supernatural portrays it is so funny. God. I can't stop thinking, like, while watching this episode, I tried to watch Breaking Bad. I think I've mentioned this in the podcast before. I tried to watch Breaking Bad, and it did not work out. So me and Breaking Bad has broken up. Yeah. But, like, in the very first episode of that show, it's Walter White's birthday. And then, like, when they come to bed, like, the woman who's, like, typing on her laptop or something just starts fucking jacking him off. And he's like, what's the occasion? And she's like, well, it's your birthday. This is the vibe. Like, I feel like... it's so funny to me because it's like, this is pretty much that scene. But in Supernatural, they were like, but it's sexy. Like...
God, like, take a sleeping pill, Dean. Like, so good. And by that I mean it's so bad. Like, if this is Dean's brain, like, this is what he thinks married life is, or, like, long-term relationship life is, right? Like, it's just sex on tap and no personality from the woman.
It does make me sad that, like, I think the reason, because this woman could have been anyone. This woman could have been Cassie. Or Lisa, or, you know, literally anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the reason why it's not those people is because Dean only met them through hunting.
Yeah.
So,
but
he couldn't have met them here.
But honestly, like, I don't think Sam would have gone to Stanford specifically if it weren't for hunting and him wanting to get as far away from his family as possible, you know? Like, Dean could have still met Cassie in this universe in some way.
Yeah, perhaps so.
Yeah, but yeah, I get why they didn't make her Cassie. Besides, then they would have had to give her, like, a personality.
Yeah, also, like, I don't like the idea of them playing with Cassie's character any more than in Route 666. Because, like, if they put her here, she's gonna have to be like, oh, Dean, why don't we have sex so you can sleep? Like, I don't want her to go through that.
Yeah.
Even if it's a dream world, I don't want her to be depersonalized and decharacterized like that.
Yeah.
So.
So. Right. Also, I guess because part of the point of this is that, like. Oh. No, they should have fucking shown this. Because the point is, like, oh, we couldn't save the people that we saved through hunting, so they all died. Cassie would have died from the truck. Oh my god. But they didn't show Dean reading an article about her dying, and I feel like that would have been way more impactful than, like, the other cases that he reads about.
Yeah, because here's a love in my life that's not real.
Yeah.
Like, that I didn't develop or experience firsthand. It's just been laid on my lap. And here's a love that I actually did experience, and it was real, and it was complex, and it was bittersweet, but it was real. And, like, that would have been a nice contrast.
Yeah, and she died. Oh, God. So Dean says, yeah, in a minute, but you go ahead. Which, I know he's just replying to the come back to bed part, but it really sounds like you go back to bed and wait an hour before, like, you give me, like, your hand job so I can fall asleep. Like, stay up for an hour before you provide this service for me on my time. Mr. put the TV on the sidewall on his side of the bed. So, yeah, so she kisses him. And Dean makes a face during that. I guess it's a surprise face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he looks around at the photos in the house, and there's one of Carmen alone, and then some of him and her together. And then he turns it around, and, like, you see something in his face change, and he's doing his whole, like, shock and lip wobble shit. Yeah. And he walks slowly through this photo that we can't see, and he, like, picks it up, and he, like, looks at it with his sad, large eyes, his anime boy eyes, and then he drops it, and he leaves the room.
Yeah. And then we see that he's driving, and he still has baby in this universe, so that's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would have worked out, because he went back in time to tell John to get the car.
Yeah,
But he only could have
John,
gotten
right.
back in time if he did the thing, the hunting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they weren't thinking up to season 5 at this point, but yeah. Cinema Sims ding indeed.
I literally did not consider that they were not thinking up until season 5 at this point. I was like, there's a plot hole here. I wonder why I didn't notice. And it's like, oh yeah, because we're in fucking season 2. But yeah. He still has baby. He drives up to this address, and it's a familiar house. Is it? I mean, yeah.
I can't
it's the house
tell,
from
but yeah,
the
I
pilot.
guess so.
But yeah, I guess it's familiar to him. He knocks, and he knocks quite like loudly and stuff, and the lights turn on, and out comes Mary. Dean goes, "Mom?" And I think they made this shot similar to the shot of Mary coming back in season 11. Because, like, or at least the thing that Dean says. Because I think in season 11, Mary comes out of a house or is, like, standing in a field or something. I don't know, but, like, it, like, zooms in on Dean's face as he goes, "Mom." And it's the same shot here. And, like, I don't know if it's on purpose, but, like, it's probably something that just happened to look similar. But yeah, like, it reminded me of that, and I'm like, OMG, she's gonna be back for real. And honestly, okay, tangent, but bringing Mary back for season 12 is like one of the best things Supernatural ever did.
Agreed.
And I am so excited for us to get there in a couple years.
Yeah.
In like fucking 5 years or so.
Right. Once you're in law school.
Once I'm literally in fucking law school and studying to be a lawyer, and like I'm still sitting here recording my Supernatural podcast.
Oh,
So true of us.
Right. Well, speaking of season 12, like, if this is how Dean thinks that Mary would act, like, no wonder he's such a misogynistic jerk to her when she gets back.
No, exactly.
You are not making me a sandwich right now. Something feels off.
That's exactly like what I was going for. I just forgot to say it. Like, that's why I brought up Mary in season 12. But like, the contrast between Mary here, the Mary in Dean's imagination, and the Mary that we actually get when she does come back, like, that's why it's so good. That's why Mary coming back was so good. And I actually feel like that is such a meaningful arc for everyone involved. And Mary being killed in season 14 for shock value. Yeah, it's not good. It's just, I mean, I understand that, like, at some point they had to be like, everyone is so gonna die. But, like, they did it in season 15, right? So, like, why do they have to push Mary's death back this far? And it's, God, they were like, but she's happy in heaven, so it's fine if she's dead. Like, it's genuinely the funniest shit.
It really is. I'm so sad Mary didn't make it to season 15, because she should have confronted Chuck.
Yeah. Like, if anyone here is a pawn piece, it's Mary. Like, she's really the person that has been tossed around a lot and discarded and recarded. Is that a word? Can you recard after you discard? But it's just, yeah, Mary is a good character when we meet her.
Also, she could have met
what
Eileen
she represents
in season 15.
What?
She could have met Eileen in season 15. Total tangent, but I would have liked to see it. Okay, back to you.
Back to me. I was saying that Mary as a character, when we do finally meet her, is so good. Mary as an idea, as we know her now, is also good. Like, not as a character, but what she represents in the show right now. As like this mother figure that's kind of just an idea. Like, she's not even a real person. Like, I'm not saying that it's a good thing that they have a woman be represented in that way. I'm saying, like, in a universe where they knew what they were doing and were like, okay, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna be a symbol of how, like, we tend to idolize and, like, they deify the dead people in our lives, to the point that, like, it can be used by John in this way as, like, something to hover over the boys, of like, you need to be courageous because Mary is watching over you, stuff like that. Like, that's a good concept. I'm still not too sure if they execute it well enough, or I'm just, at this point, or I'm just blinded by the fact that Mary comes back and I know what happens there. But I really like Mary.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for the episodes a little later on in the show where it focuses on her. Like, the ones that are flashback episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
Well, if you like Mary, there's a show coming up.
Literally, the pause that I made when I was talking and I just stopped talking, that was because I remembered the prequel and I started being like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Life is such a misery.
God, life is such a misery.
That's not Mary.
That's not my girl.
That's not Mary.
It's not my girl.
We've been on this tangent for so long, but
it's her. So
Mary opens the door, right, and she greets Dean, and she looks like, she's like been woken up. She's wearing a robe and stuff, and Dean is like, Mom, and we start seeing Dean look like he's about to cry. And this is the most vulnerable we've seen Dean so far. And it does get to you, or at least it did get to me. Because it's like, I feel like the last time we saw him this emotional was like when he was crying on the phone to John about how he's scared of going home. And now he is home, and Mary is here. And, like, just the idea of that makes me emotional. That this is, like, the only thing that makes Dean this weak. The idea of home and the idea of Mary. And now he has it. And he should have killed Mary at the end of this episode. Like, this is...
Yeah.
I'm still reiterating that. Like, this is how this episode should have went. Rael Tucker, hire me as your script supervisor. Anyway, they come in, and apparently Carmen called Mary that Dean just bolted, which is such a weird thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, okay, you're living with your husband, wife, partner, and they run off in the middle of the night. Do you call their mom? I feel like that's a weird choice.
Yeah. Like, she didn't even text him. Like, hey, where are you going?
Yeah.
No, like, straight to Mary.
Should I call your mom? Yeah. Anyway, Dean asked, like, let me ask you a question. What did you used to say to me when I was younger before bed? And Mary's like, why? And Dean's like, just answer the question, please. And she says, I would tell you that angels are watching over you. And Dean breaks, and he's like, fuck, it really is you. And he goes to hug her very tightly. When Mary is like, oh, what is happening? You're kind of scaring me. But Dean, stops hugging her, and he's like, oh, you're beautiful. And it's like, And when he said, "You're beautiful," I was like, Crystal is not gonna like this line.
I mean, it makes sense given the context, but also, you know, now that we're thinking about the season 5 episodes, where what did we say? Like, I'm going to hell, but mom was kind of a babe.
I hate Supernatural so much. It's unreal.
Oh, God. Also, speaking of that episode, because the angels are watching over you thing, like, we're supposed to think that that's, like, subliminal from, like, Mary's memory getting erased or something from when Anna came back. So, I guess it's nice to think that she's still a hunter in this universe. She's just also chilling in her, like, robe at home.
She's like, I'm a hunter and I know about the supernatural, but
I've not
chosen
letting
to live my life.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna tell my kids about it.
Do you think... Okay, I was gonna pose this question, and like, I think the answer is pretty obvious, but like, do you think it was wrong of John to hunt?
Yes.
Like, obviously, yes, for the circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. But if it was like they're at home and they have a life together, like Mary and him, and they have the boys, and he still went out hunting but didn't tell them, do you think that would be wrong still?
Like, okay. Well, I mean, I think that Bill Harvell was fine for hunting when, like, he had a family that didn't hunt. Like, yeah, but I feel like you do need to tell, like, your spouse at least, so that they're, like, aware of the risk of losing you and stuff.
I think the question I'm trying to pose specifically is, once you know about the supernatural, is it your responsibility to save the people it can harm?
Dean asks this to John's grave.
Yeah, like Dean asks this, and the answer the show gives is, yes, it is your responsibility. But like, you, what do you think?
I think that you should probably do something, but that doesn't necessarily mean putting your life at risk. It can just mean, like, warning other people or, like, asking other people to look into things.
Yeah. Do you think the idea of a centralized, like, hunting community is bad? Like, where, like, everyone is aware of it?
Like, everyone in the hunting community or everyone in the world? I feel like everyone in the world should just know. Like, why keep it from them?
Yeah, I guess
You're right. They're all like, no one will believe us. But, like, if you tell enough people and get enough video evidence, like, eventually they will. Like, especially because they're like, no one will believe us ever. And then in every single episode, like, anyone they help believes it by the end. Like, we've never had an episode where they're like, what kind of drugs did you put me guys on? Like, did you guys put me on? Like, you didn't save my life or anything at the end. Like, everyone believes them at the end.
This is so funny, but this reminds me of what happens in Scooby Natural.
What happens?
Have you watched?
No.
No, you have not. So, like, in Scooby Natural, the Scooby gang gets terrified that, like, oh my god, the supernatural is real, and they're so freaked out. So Sam and Dean formulate this whole thing where it's like, oh, it's not actually ghosts, it's actually like a realtor or something, and ghosts don't actually exist, and they fucking gaslight the shit out of Scooby gang to be like, it's not real. And at some point Sam was like, you never believed it, like, you never, like, you always question it in your mind, and you were right to question it because they don't exist. And it's like, all I was thinking of was like, this is so fucking funny that they're doing this to fucking the Scooby gang. But yes, I'm enamored by the opposite of that scenario where Sam and Dean are trying to convince people, where now they're trying to convince people that ghosts are not real. God. Scooby Natural is such a fun episode. Except for the atrocities.
For the atrocities. Ay. They really were like, let's just pick one teenage girl per supernatural guy. Well, I guess Cass didn't get anyone because he's better than that. But yeah, they were like, let's just pair up Sam and Dean with, like, teenage Scooby-Doo characters. And, like, we'll give Sam the sapiosexual one because she wears glasses. And we'll give Dean the one that everyone thinks is a brainless bimbo. Alright, guys, good work. Take 5.
To be fair, they gave the weed-smoking guy to Cass.
Oh, so true. Yeah. The Scooby Gang are teenagers, right? Like, that's, like, canon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're high schoolers.
Yeah. So true of Shaggy to smoke weed in high school. That's what everyone should do.
Let's look up what age Shaggy is in the Scooby Gang. Because he looks like an old guy.
Yeah, but also, like, some high school seniors look old. Like, they have, like facial hair, at least. But yeah. No, okay, Shaggy's appearance is actually an anti-weed PSA. Don't smoke weed, kids. You're gonna look 40.
No, yeah. So him and Fred are 17.
Mm-hmm.
Daphne is 16 and Velma is 15.
Oh my god, Sam, you... Alright. Alright. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like Scooby Natural except for the atrocities.
Yep. This episode is gonna be so long and none of it will be about the episode.
I told you I didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
Let's speed through the episode. Let's reshape our format into something faster.
But we
and,
need
less
to
than an hour.
image describe every single photograph that we see in this room with the fucking shoddy ass Photoshop jobs and early days lesbian jackals.
There's a photo here. Later on, he wakes up, and the reason why he realizes it's not a dream is because there's a photo of like Sam and like John and Mary. And I like when Dean opens his eyes and sees it, I literally bursted out laughing. Like, it's so bad. It's genuinely...
Which one was this?
Okay.
Was this the graduation one where JDM
Yes.
looks like the most photoshopped man in existence? And also it's clearly Jared Padalecki's like University of Texas or whatever graduation photo.
Yeah, and they were like, it's Stanford, baby.
I want to look up what the Stanford graduation colors are. I'm pretty sure red is right though.
Yeah, no. That's true. But it has to be a deeper red, right? Because Stanford is like maroon almost.
Yeah, Google Images is not being kind to me. I guess they could have just done color replace in Photoshop though. Okay, so in Stanford, you actually wear like a black robe and everything, but you have like a red, what is it called? The
Sash.
Yeah, it's called a sash even though it looks like a scarf the way you wear it. Yeah, so, yeah. I call bullshit. Anyway. God. Okay, also, there's the iconic...
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
we haven't said yet, but what's happening right now is that, like, Dean is looking through the photos in the room.
Uh-huh.
And that's the photos that we are talking about currently.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking at graduation pictures, and everything is badly edited. So, It's extremely funny what's happening in this scene.
And there's like a prom photo that's definitely just Jensen Ackles and his date at prom. They look like lesbians. It looks like a lesbian couple. Trans Dean, true thing, for real. And then
at some point,
the softball photo.
Yeah, at some point there's a softball photo of John holding a baseball bat. Okay, first of all, why is John playing softball? Isn't that a lesbian sport?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe older men play softball because the baseball, like, if it hits them in the face, they dangerous. Won't immediately die.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, right. I mean, the John Winchester we know would never agree to play softball because it's a lesbian sport. But I guess maybe in this universe where Mary didn't die, he's less toxic masculine.
I was gonna make a joke that, like, I am the most unathletic person I know.
Mm.
And in high school, we played softball. And it was the only thing I was good at.
Makes you think.
It makes you think. It was literally the only thing I was half competent in. Which is incredibly funny in retrospect. So, yeah, maybe John is trans mask, and that's why he's playing softball.
Exactly. Or maybe John's a he-him lesbian in this universe with Mary.
Exactly. Who would have thought? Not me. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's canon. Just like these photos canonized trans Dean. There's like another photo of young Dean and he looks like such a lesbian. Like his outfit. Like, God, what is it? He's like wearing a
Wait,
baseball...
the one you sent me?
Yes.
Wait, I'm going to read the message that you sent along with it because I thought it was so funny. Okay. Okay, this is Crystal's message along with this photo of Jensen Ackles looking like... What he's wearing like a red flannel vest.
A fucking
over
flannel vest.
A shirt and a cap. And Crystal said, SPN props team scrambling to find a photo of young jackals that looks the least twinky. Eric, we have a bad news.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, it's so funny. I don't think you'll understand how twinky it looks unless we post it or something. But, like, God, it's so good. So...
Yeah.
Yep. So back to the softball thing.
Yeah, Dean is like, wow, he plays... Maybe this is what Dean was referencing to. Like, he thinks softball is a lesbian sport, and he's like, why is Dad playing softball? And Mary has to break it to him that, like, your dad was a he-him lesbian. So... And basically, like, Dean is like, isn't it so funny that he plays softball? And Mary's like, well, he loved that team.
Oh.
And... Dean was like, wait, Dad's dead?
And honestly,
and Mary was
I would have
like,
been so stupid. I would have been like, oh no, the team disbanded.
I know, me too. Literally, how do you proceed straight to death? What if he just left the team, you know?
Right. What if, what if he had, drama with his fellow he-him lesbians on the team, as he-him lesbians are wont to do, and that's why the team is, past tense.
Exactly.
Also, to be clear, he-him lesbians are the backbone of our society, and I don't want to disparage you by saying that John was one of you.
Yeah, exactly. It is actually offensive to be in any group that John belongs in. Dean asks, okay, what killed Dad? And Mary says, a stroke killed him in his sleep. You know about this. And then Dean says, yeah, that's good.
That's great. He says, that's great.
That's great.
So
and
true.
Mary's like, it's great that he died. And Dean says, well, it's great that he died in his sleep peacefully. Like, it beats the alternative of, I don't know, being tortured in hell for eternity after you sell your soul to a demon.
Yeah. Just as an example.
And then Mary concludes that Dean has been drinking and goes to call Carmen. And Dean is like, no, don't do that. I'll stay here. And I miss the place. And you go to bed and I'll just sleep on the couch. And then we get the scene that everyone... Yeah, the shot that everyone loves and adores. Where Dean, it's a close-up of Dean's face, and Mary comes over to him and caresses his face and says, like, are you sure you're okay? Get some rest, blah, blah, blah. And Dean, like, leans into the touch. It's pretty, like, I would say it would have been emotional if I wasn't so hyper aware of this scene, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would have liked it better if I didn't know that everyone likes it so much, and this is like in every single AMV and GIF set and whatnot about Dean and being touch starved or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And she says, I love you.
Yeah, she says, I love you.
And that's the first time.
And Dean doesn't say it back.
Oh, it's the first time that Dean's ever been, like, that anyone said I love you to Dean in the show. Sam has gotten one I love you so far in the entire show, and it was from Jess's voicemail. And then she died.
Yeah.
And this is Dean's first F.
I love you, yeah. There's one that I remember. It's like when he said, I love the guy about John. Yeah. But he was like kind of insulting him because he says he writes like Yoda. And Cass was like, it's beautiful handwriting because he is a liar and a fiend.
He was like, I need to know how to get into Dean's pants because right now I'm so depressed and suicidal. I need his dick to fix me, and the only thing I can do to like get that is to compliment his dad. Then so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dean wakes up the next day, and we get like a Christmas photo, it looks like, of the whole family together, and it looks fucking ridiculous because of how clearly photoshopped it is, and also young Jackals just looks really, really out of place in it. Like, I don't, like, the photo quality is different from the other photos or whatever, but we do see baby Sammy in it, and he's so cute, and also transgender. So he calls Sam, but it's his voicemail. So he hangs up and he shows up in the office of some professor. And Dean's doing that thing where he's like, I'm totally one of your students, you just don't remember me. He says, you kidding me? I love your lectures. You make learning fun. So
he literally looks like a 30 or 40-year-old man.
Yeah, it's like there are people who go to college, but
student.
Usually people would like remember you as a student if you're like on a non-traditional path. So he asks the professor about jinns, and he says that a lot of Muslims believe that the jinn are actually real. And Dean's like, yeah, whatever. Tell me about the wishes. Can they really do it? He says, say you had a wish, but you never even said it out loud. Like that a loved one came back, or never died, or that something awful never happened. Has he really never said out loud, I wish Mary didn't die? That's sad. So yeah, he says that, yeah, that is possible because they have godlike power and they can alter reality however they want. Which does match up with what B said to us about Jin, so at least this professor knows his stuff. So yeah, they don't directly grant wishes, but because they can alter reality, then that is something in their wheelhouse. And Dean keeps asking, like, why would they do it, though? Maybe it's not really evil. And the professor asks if Dean has been drinking. And Dean says, everyone keeps asking me that. But no. Why do you think that the logical conclusion of this universe is that Dean would be an alcoholic? Like, Mary's alive. And he, like, what do you think? Like, I know that, like, people just become alcoholics for, like, many reasons in their life, some mundane. But, you know, since this is a supernatural episode, they had to have a reason that they think that Dean would end up here in the universe where he's, like, a normal kid growing up, right?
Perhaps, like, it's the show trying to tell us that, like, he doesn't fit in here.
Right, like he needs a purpose in hunting somehow, but he doesn't even want to do it. But the show wants him to.
Yeah, the show wants him to. That's, I think, the point of the drinking. Well, we don't see him drink a lot, really. It's just everyone telling him that he drinks a lot. Yeah. But I think, like, the whole point of that is to be like, look, this isn't even, like, a good place. It's like, you're still miserable.
Yeah, I guess so.
But what's your perspective on this?
Like, if I take away, like, the whole... Okay, because the thing is, like, I feel like I can't think of it without the show's intentions, because, you know, later when, like, Sam confronts Dean and he's basically like, you're a really bad brother, I was like, is that the show saying that Dean's only a good brother because John abandoned them in motels and he had to learn to be selfless, and that otherwise Dean would, like, sleep with Sam's prom date? Like, is the show saying, like, oh, like, the abuse and abandonment made Dean a better brother? Like...
Come on,
Supernatural. So I was like, is the show saying that, like Dean, like, in his natural state would be an alcoholic and, like, not give money back to his family and steal his mom's silverware, and it's only through hunting that Dean toughened up and straightened up? Like, I can't tell. Is that it?
No, but immediately after that, Dean goes, yeah, that sounds like me.
That's true.
Which, you know, implies that, like, in their universe, he would also be doing this shit.
Yeah, but the other stuff, like, I feel like he wouldn't have, like, taken Sam's ATM card. Well, but I guess that's because neither of them have valid ATM cards. So who knows?
Yeah.
Okay,
he takes other people's ATMs.
Right. Sam also says that Dean bailed on his graduation, which, I mean, I guess Dean would do because he's mad at Sam for abandoning the family, but I feel like in this universe you're just supposed to think that, like, Dean just doesn't care, so he didn't show up because he didn't want to bother, which I don't think is something Dean would do.
I feel like it's also kind of, like, the way I think about it, like, the reason why Sam and Dean don't get along, it's not because Dean is a horrible person, but because, like, Dean is kind of a stuck-up bitch. So, like, he's kind of a, like, Sam is portrayed as an asshole, right?
Yeah, Sam, a bit.
So, like, I don't know. I mean, Sam is also portrayed like this in real life.
Yeah.
And I feel like what... Well, by real life, I do mean real life. No, I mean, like, in you know, the real universe of Supernatural. But I feel... Now that you mention it, like, I can't help but think, like, are they trying to say that Sam, too, is more understanding and tries to be kinder and all that because of the abuse and the torment of his childhood.
God, maybe. Okay, no, I think honestly he's just probably like mean in this universe because he's in law school and he has like essays coming up. Like, if my brother took my ATM card like while I was studying for a test, like I'd be mad at him too. Like he could do it like whenever else, but like I'm busy and stressed. I'm in law school. I'm gonna be a law boy. Like, do this later. Like, wait until the summer.
Okay, college campus, he sees some girl standing in the corner. This shot is actually pretty creepy. I was like, oh, it's from this episode.
She's wearing a white nightgown.
It's creepy. Oh God, you're right. Oh, is she wearing that in real life too?
I don't remember.
I think she was wearing a white dress.
Yeah, so maybe he like took her from a place where she was wearing a white dress. Sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay, but I do want to
Dean is home.
mention that when Dean opens his trunk and he sees no weapons, he says, well, who would have thought baby we're civilians? Which is, and you know, I feel like Supernatural does make the like soldier and hunter parallels pretty clear. Ugh, John Winchester volunteering for the Vietnam War. I fucking know that in the Winchesters he's gonna be like, I had to fight monsters too. Asian people. So
I need to throttle John Winchester ASAP.
No, you're right. He wouldn't say Asian people. He'd say commies.
No.
But yeah, you know, civilians. Interesting. All right, back to your thing.
Okay, Dean is in the house. He's eating a sandwich. He's moaning while eating the sandwich. What?
The transcript says Dean takes a bite out of a big sandwich, grunting because of the goodness.
That's horrible. That's a horrible image. I mean, I get it. Have you actually moaned around food before?
I feel like fan fiction made that up.
No. I mean, I think when it's like, when you're hungry, it's like, you know how like, when you massage something that's painful in your body, you grunt kind of like, without your permission. What do you call that? Like, involuntarily. Yeah. I feel like the same thing happens when you're really hungry and then you put food in your mouth for the first time after a while. So, I think it's real. It's just, you're right that like media or like what in writing, it's a bit more exaggerated. This is so funny because like they're doing the mom thing where it's like mom makes the best food.
Yeah, it's a sandwich. You just put things on like, top of each other.
No, it's funny to me because canonically, like, we learn later on that Mary is actually a bad cook.
Yeah, queen.
And, like, the things that Dean loved from childhood were, like, store-bought and stuff. Which is, like, so funny to me.
Yeah.
And by funny, I mean, they made her a real person.
Also,
and then they killed her.
Oh, they killed her. From what I can see of the sandwich, it seems to be mostly vegetables, so Dean really loves his mom.
There's one giant slab of, like, ham in the middle.
Ah, there we go. Dean doesn't love his mom that much.
And he's asking, like, where's Sam? And Mary was like, oh, he's coming over here. And then he asks, like, has the lawn been mowed? Can I mow it? And Mary says, okay, you can, but you've never operated a lawnmower before, so go nuts.
Right. Oh, also she mentions that he works at a garage, so he's a car mechanic, yeah. Which is sweet.
He's a car mechanic.
Yeah, I think that's a good Dean job.
I think that's a good Dean job. Yeah, and I like that they weren't like, oh, because...
Right, they weren't like, you work a blue-collar job and that's part of why you suck in this universe. Like, they don't do that, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he still has the car. I don't know, it's a detail that I really like. That, like, that is something fundamental to Dean. Because, I mean, we've talked a lot... I mean, by we, I mean the fandom has talked a lot about how, like, Baby is a representation of Dean. And, like, the fact that he chose it. And the fact that now, even in a universe where Mary is alive and they never go hunting, he still sticks to it like it's a part of his identity. I really like that.
Yeah.
So, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, he mows the lawn. He does a very bad job at it.
I screamed while watching this scene.
What if you're mowing the lawn, what's it supposed to look like?
Well, there's supposed to be like bits of grass flying up because you're like cutting the grass,
yeah.
But like he clearly like is not, because yeah, the lawnmower is not on. And he's, like, walking around with the lawnmower, like... I feel like usually you would try to go in, like, neat rows or something, because, like, the way that the grass is cut, like, you sort of see that in the way the lawn works. But he's just sort of, like, walking around in, like, random angles and circles, and at some point he, like runs the lawnmower, like, over part of the sidewalk.
Yeah. He, like, tries to force it in a direction and it goes the other way. Like, it's quite funny.
Right. And also...
At some point, he waves at the guy.
Who clearly actually knows like, how to cut a lawn because he's throwing away lawn trimmings.
Yeah, and the guy's like, okay, cool. And then when he was like, I'm done. I have rested well.
I've worked so hard.
I have worked well. I've worked so hard, and now I'm going to rest with my cold ass flat ass beer, and I am going to chill out in the front. And he's having fun.
Yeah,
he's cute. He's having fun. Throughout this song, throughout this scene, there's a song playing. It's a wonderful. What's it? Was it? It's a Wonderful World, right? But it's a cover of it, so it's like, it's janky and poppy.
Oh, I don't know what the original sounds like.
I mean, I don't know if this is the original, but I think the original is the jazz guy, right? What's his name? Okay, Louis Armstrong.
Oh, okay. Is it a money thing, or is it that Supernatural doesn't play music by black artists except for in the episode about a black music artist? I guess we'll never know.
Oh my god, this guy is like... The guy who sings this cover is like the lead singer of the Ramones. Which is extremely funny. Oh my god, that's why he's called Joey Ramone. Wait, are the Ramones literally just like guys named Ramones?
I have no clue.
Oh my god, they really are all Ramones.
Wow. Are they all siblings? Or did they say it's not, only Ramones?
They just changed their names.
Oh my god.
They just changed their names.
That's dedication.
So, this guy is Christopher Joseph Ward. Another person is called Thomas Erdely. So they changed their name to first name Ramon. First name and then Ramon.
The thing about this whole scene is that in Bugs, Dean makes it really clear that he doesn't like suburban life. And he thinks it's all like fake and bad or whatever. But yeah, I guess their point here is that like despite all that, Mary is his home, so it's all good. He should have killed her for real. So as Dean's drinking the beer and feeling satisfied with himself for doing 0 lawn mowing, a car drives up. And it's like round. The shape of it, it's very cute. Good choice in cars, Sam. So it's Sam and Jess who get out, and Dean goes, I don't believe it. And he, like, hugs Jess really, really tight. And he greets Sam with a big smile and, like, slaps him on the shoulder, and he's just really excited that he's with Jess. And Sam's just sort of taken aback about all of this. And we find out that Sam flew in from California, where he's at Stanford Law. And Sam makes this judgy comment where he points to the beer Dean has, and he's like, I see you started off Mom's birthday with a bang as usual. If you have, like, a friend or a family member with a drinking problem, this is not the way to have them get help. Okay, right.
That is true. However, as someone who, like, you know, like, I've experienced this with my family. Yeah. And I usually just shut up in family events, but I've heard, like, other people talk to other people in my family, you know?
Yeah.
Like, people really do talk like this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it is pretty often.
And it's quite unfortunate because it helps nobody.
Right.
It just creates drama.
Yeah. So, Dean didn't know that it was Mom's birthday, so Sam's mad at him about that. But yeah, that's why they're all here today. For that. And they cut to a restaurant.
Yeah, and they're all drinking. Mary looks amazing. Yeah. She looks amazing. She's wearing a black dress, and they're all there.
And her hair is up. And
yeah. Dean, like, cracks a joke when his food arrives.
He ordered that food. Why didn't he order a meat? Why did he say, I want the stack of asparagus, and then be mad that he got a stack of asparagus?
Maybe he can't read. Have we considered that, Crystal?
I mean, I'm sure there are also probably some dyslexia Dean truthers out there, in which case, yeah, good for you.
So true. They do a toast, and Dean and his wife, Carmen, have a little chat about, like, oh, I was worried about you.
I think they're just dating, actually.
Oh, they're just dating. Yeah, later on he says, I'm dating a nurse, right?
Yeah.
So they are dating. So they're talking, and Carmen is still being a cool girl. Hashtag I'm a cool girl. We'll get a burger after this. And stuff like that. And Dean is like, how did I ever land such a cool chick? And then they kiss.
Who says that about their partner who calls their partner a cool chick? He's sick for this.
I swear, if anyone, like,
break up on the spot.
Like, because it's very reminiscent of, like, fucking Gone Girl, right?
Yeah,
like, if
cool
someone calls
monologue.
you cool, yeah, like, oh my god, you're so cool, like,
you're unusual.
Your unusual instant breakup. Like, that one, instant breakup. I'm kicking you out of our shared apartment. We've been together 5 years, and this is the last straw.
Might even be the first straw, but now it's also the last one. Carmen's response to how did I end up with such a cool chick as you is...
I have low standards.
So true. But, like, do you think that was supposed to be part of, like, oh, this world isn't right because any woman would be really happy to have Dean in the real world?
No! Well, I hope not. But that's extremely funny.
God. But yeah, back to Sam and
Jess say that, oh, they have something to announce. And the announcement is
They're
engaged. And the way Sam shows it is he raises her hand and just like shows off her ring. And I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, they're so
I feel
cute.
like I've seen that in every Sam Jess AMV ever made.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's like 5 scenes of them together. So like, I understand. I get it. And then everyone stands up and everyone's congratulating Sam and Jess. Dean like goes up to congratulate Sam, and Sam is like, I don't know. What's Sam like? Sam's like a bit uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And as Dean congratulates Sam, he sees a figure over at the side. It's the same girl from earlier, but now a little bit more distressed looking. And he goes up to her, and I don't know. I don't fucking know. What does he do? Oh, the girl disappears. And he's like, okay, what the fuck was that? And then we cut back to the house. And Sam is asking Dean, like, what happened over there at the restaurant? And Dean was like, don't even worry about it. Mary says goodnight to them. And as she goes up, Sam and Jess were like, okay, we're going back to our room now, or whatever.
Right.
First of all,
They're there to have engagement sex, and Dean's like, no, we need to hang out.
no, first of all, I find it extremely funny that, like, at this point, Sam is what, 23? 24, maybe?
Yeah.
24?
Probably 24? Because it's near the end of
Do you
season
think... Do you think at 24 years old, you would be able to... Like, imagine a situation where you're straight.
2. Uh-huh.
Do you think, even with that, you would be able to introduce, like, a romantic partner to your parents at age 24?
Honestly, like, yes, because they keep pushing me to find a rich man somewhere on my college campus.
Well, that's true. You should marry the redacted billionaire's son who is currently at your college campus.
God. But, yeah, no, I mean, I feel like they would want me to date someone because I think they think my friendship with my ex-fiance is a little too intense and they're getting alarm bells going off in their head. But I don't think I'd feel comfortable introducing someone to them.
Yeah. Also, maybe this is just me speaking from, like, a quite conservative background family-wise.
Yeah.
But, like, the concept that you can introduce your partner to your parents and your partner sleeps in the house.
Oh, yeah, in
and
your
sleeps
room?
in the same
No.
room as you.
No.
No. No.
No.
You have to wait for marriage, baby.
Yeah, Dean's like, don't go to bed yet. No engagement sex. We need to hang out and celebrate. He says, let's go have a drink or something. Which, you know, he should know in this universe
Alarm
is
bells,
not gonna make Sam willing to do, like, hanging out activities with him. And Sam goes like, maybe another time. And Jesus, come on, man. Look at us. We both have beautiful women on our arms. I hope he dies. And he says this in front of Jess and Carmen. Like instant breakup material.
No wonder Sam fucking hates you.
Yeah, no wonder Carmen has low standards. She really fucking does. Not for, like, the alcoholism or anything, just for this. God, yeah, right, and it's really awkward. And I was like, is it awkward because Dean just said that? But no, it's awkward because Sam and Dean don't have a good relationship. So he says, like, hey, like, can you go away? Like, I need to talk to my brother alone. And he, like, tells Dean to, like, come here, and he leads him to the whole other side of the living room. Yeah, so he asks Dean, hey, what has gotten into you? What is this whole warm, fuzzy ecstasy trip thing? And Dean says, I'm just happy for you, Sammy. And Sam's like, yeah, and also you don't call me Sammy, and we also don't talk outside of holidays. And Dean goes like, well, we don't? Well, we should. You're my brother. And Sam's like, that's what you said when you stole my ATM card, bailed on my graduation, and also when you hooked up with Rachel Nave, my prom date. And yeah, as you mentioned. Okay, also, fun fact, Rachel Nave is a supernatural writer who wrote Bugs.
Who wrote Bugs. And also, like, apparently they bring up this prom date thing again in the future.
Oh.
And it's like, Lucifer says that, like, that girl was, like, possessed to watch over Sam.
Oh my god.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
In so many levels.
Jeez. Right. So as you mentioned, he's like, yeah, that kind of sounds like me. And he says, like, I'm sorry about all that. And Sam says, like, that's okay. I'm not asking you to change. I just don't want to continue having a brotherly relationship with... Not really. He just says that we don't really have anything in common. And he just starts to walk away, and Dean goes like, whoa, yeah, we do. Yes, we do. We have hunting in common. Boo. And Sam goes, I've never been hunting in my life. And Dean goes, well, we should go sometimes. I think you'd be great at it. And Sam goes away. Is hunting really the only thing they have in common? Like, they grew up together.
I mean, Supernatural seems to think it is.
Okay, yeah, they seem to think this is true, but, like, I don't know, even, like, I don't know, like, make an effort. If your friend has a new, like, hyperfixation, you go watch an episode of it so you can talk about it with them, you know?
Yeah, on an outtake of your podcast for another TV show that you watched together.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Attorney Wu at some point, I feel.
Yes.
So tune in for that in the outtakes.
Make an effort. But... I say having no plan to play Ace Attorney.
Exactly. No, but this scene is yet another scene that made me emo. Because, like I said earlier, the concept of having a sibling and not getting along with them makes me so sad. It's just, it's devastating. So, like, when Sam was like, we just don't have anything in common, I was like, holy shit, what things in common do I have with my siblings? And the answer is not much, but, like, you still love them, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's wild to me that they were like...
Also, I feel like a lot of conversations are just you saying, like, something funny that recently happened to you. Like, you don't even have to have the same interests. If you care about each other, then you'll just care about each other's anecdotes or whatever.
Yeah, like, and a lot of it is, like, gossiping about your family.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, our cousin is, in fact, going to a different school. Like, you know, shit like that. So...
Yeah, like, having a sibling is about, like, going through the Instagrams of people you both know from school and making fun of how their partners look. Like...
For me, siblinghood is when they get blocked by someone from your family that they have beef with.
Yeah.
You go to that person's Facebook page and scroll through it with them to see what shit they've been saying. That's my experience of siblinghood. Yeah. And I feel like everyone should be able to relate.
Though, honestly, I think the Sam Dean thing does happen because... Okay, one time my ex-fiance was overhearing her roommate with her sister on the phone, and her roommate was trying to talk to her sister about Twice, but, like, her sister clearly didn't really care about K-pop. The roommate was like, you're, like, not really, like, talking to me. I feel like you're not engaging and we don't really have anything in common and I feel like we're drifting apart. And the sister said, well, we have Jesus in common.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Sam and Dean literally have Jesus in common.
Literally, Dean would be the roommate, and Sam would be like, we have Jesus in common. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's just, I guess, like, distance really does do that, right?
Yeah.
So, and, like, I guess at this point, like, 5 years or so, Sam has been away from home, so... Of course, things are gonna be different. It's just, it's so sad. It's so sad. And the fact that even in childhood, it's implied that they didn't have a connection.
Yeah.
Like, what? Did they just exist around each other?
I mean, I guess maybe part of it is just that they would have their own rooms in the house, so they could just choose not to, like, look at each other or talk to each other. They weren't, like, cooped up in the same motel room, having to watch the same TV all the time.
Supernatural is about family. And, like, I said this earlier, but, like, it is about family.
Yeah.
And at its core, it's, like, about Sam and Dean. Oh, not to be, like, a fucking...
Brownlee.
I love to be a fucking Brownlee, but, like, Sam and Dean is like a pillar of this show that is, you know, a foundation of it. And I like that they explore it like this in this episode where it's like, no, yeah, seriously, what do they have in common? Seriously, what connects them? What binds them? And yeah, maybe it is the shared trauma and it is the hunting and all that. But I don't know. Like, at this point, I can still safely say, like, at least they have that. I feel like later on in the show, that, in quotes, actually is in detriment to their relationship and into their lives as individuals. But at this point in the show, at least they have that kind of connection with each other. Like, at least they have each other, even though later on in the show it's gonna be toxic as all hell.
Yep.
So now we're at Dean's house, I think.
Yeah.
And Carmen and Dean are talking, and Dean is saying, like, oh, Carmen hands him a beer. And also, like, just for, like, a little tidbit later, the beer is called El Sol.
Oh, yeah.
And, honestly, I think that's a little bit of a reference to the fact that this episode is brighter. Like, inside the universe, it's brighter,
Maybe.
right? So it's like the sun. But also, it's a reference to the fact that it's a beer brand, and Carmen is actually a beer model in real life, and that's how Dean knows her. She's a model for the El Sol beer, which we'll see later when he flips through a magazine. Which, do you want to talk about that while we're on Carmen? The fact that it's a beer ad that he sees her in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what there is to say. Like, Dean probably does have a drinking problem.
We kind of said it earlier. We kind of said it earlier in that, like, why is it not Cassie or Lisa or anything? And it's, like, I mean, my knee-jerk reaction was, he imagined this life just because he saw a beautiful woman. like, does Dean look at every woman and think, what if we get home and get married and you offered me blowjobs before sleep and also gave me beer? You know?
God.
But also, like, I think it's a little bit sadder than that. Like, it's like, I cannot really see myself having this kind of connection with anyone, quote, real, and, like, you know, who's actually in my life. So I'm going to project these desires on someone that doesn't feel or even is a real person to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that, I don't know.
What if Dean's Dean's girlfriend in this episode was Asian? What would you do?
I think, honestly, that would be like a, let's stop watching this
Yeah,
show
honestly, I
moment for
would.
me.
I'd be like, okay, well, it was nice knowing all of you. Bye.
Yeah. I feel like that is a deal breaker at that point, especially after the Bus Asian Beauties reveal a couple episodes back.
God.
What a hilarious question. But as they sit and talk, Dean is like, I can fix him about Sam. and he's like, I've been given a second chance in life and I don't want to mess it up. And Carmen is just sitting there like affirming him and being like, they don't know what they're missing, etc., etc. Anyway, they start kissing, and when they're about to lay down, she's like, don't bother me, I have a job to go to.
Wait, but remember when Dean says, I get it now, why you're the one? How does he get it? We don't know a single thing about this woman. All she's done is offer to fuck him and be, like, affirming.
You're the one because you told me my dick was 10 inches long. Go, girl.
God.
But as they start making out and they're about to lay down, she was like, oh, I have a job to go to. And he was like, oh, what job? And Crystal has told me that the joke in this scene is Dean thinks she's a stripper because she's working the night shift. But actually she's a nurse. And Dean is like impressed that it's a respectable job.
Right. Stripping is also a respectable job, but Supernatural hates women, so...
He's watching TV now. And he's flicking through. And suddenly he sees a news coverage over this vigil held after the 1-year anniversary of the flight that Sam and Dean stopped from crashing a year ago. The one from Phantom Traveler. Fascinating that it's only been a year since Phantom Traveler. They really sped through season 2.
Right. Also, like, there's no visual being held for, like, the plane crash that happened the day before with the door opening and stuff. Like, you'd think it's more of, like a 2-day long sort of, like, this was plane crash weekend. Like, memorializing plane crash weekend. But, like,
180 people died.
Yike.
During that crash. Ugh. And Dean is like, wait, no, I stopped that crash. So he goes to his laptop and starts researching. And headlines like flash in, not flash, but like fade in and out of the screen as we watch Dean's face react to all this. And it's like, 9 kids comatose from the one about the Macbeth episode. No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, something
wicked. Yeah. And then there's the, like, drowning, I think, from...
from the hotel episode. The plaything.
Yeah, the girl who drowned in the pool.
Yeah. They should have shown Cassie.
Yeah.
Like, I know that would essentially be a fridging, but since it's a different universe, I think it's, like, okay.
Maybe Cassie not being shown is good because it's, like, it's not an equal,
Right.
It's not an equal value. It's, like, I don't know these people and yet I'm sacrificing my life for them.
That's true, because if he saw Cassie's death and then went to John's grave and was like, why do I have to save people? I'd be like, fuck off!
No, exactly. Speaking of John and his grave, take it away, Crystal.
Right. So, we get to, well, okay, actually before that for a second, Dean sees, like, he opens his bedroom closet door and he realizes that he's actually a serial killer in this universe because there are a bunch of corpses hanging from the ceiling. But then they flicker out. So yeah, something's up. So yeah, he's at John's grave now. And he gives this whole speech. Do I have to read all of it? I didn't even like it that much.
Just summarize it.
Okay, he's like, everyone that we saved is dead. And it's like my old life is coming after me and it doesn't want me to be happy. And I know what you in the real universe, not this one, would say, and it's that I should go hunt the djinn and that your happiness doesn't matter next to all those people's lives, but why is it my job to save them? Why do I have to be some kind of hero? And he, like, gets a single man tier and then a second man tier. And he says, like, and what, like, Mom's not supposed to live her life and Sammy's not supposed to get married? Why do we have to sacrifice everything? So yeah, that's the speech. So yeah, he's crying and stuff. People care about this scene, and I mean, I guess it's, like, useful to understand Dean, but I didn't think the acting in it was that good.
Well, I mean, he does the 2 tears falling out of his eyes.
It's true, that's a lot for Jensen Ackles.
Yeah.
It's twice as many as usual.
Should have just been a single man tier. Yeah, should have been just a single man tier. Also, yeah, the acting wasn't good. It didn't move me. I was like,
he's giving a monologue during his audition for his school play. Like, that's the vibe.
Yeah. I mean, for an episode that moved me quite a bit, this one didn't do anything.
Yeah, the scene just wasn't very much. The only thing that got me a little emo was me realizing that this was probably the first time that the Dean of this universe would have to look up where a grave is.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway,
we get the pilot parallels, visual parallels. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so Sam is sleeping, wakes up, Jess is beside him. It's literally the fucking
pilot.
Yeah. But he goes down and he's carrying a baseball bat.
I love him. I'm in love with Sam. Go baseball bat.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, Sam in this episode is not dressed like Sam.
Right, he's dressed like a law student.
He's dressed like a law student from Stanford.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're not dirt poor, that's
true.
Universe, so
yeah.
That's good.
Dean has is it an apartment or a house? Does he have an entire...
It's a house.
He has an entire house.
And not only is it an entire house, it's a beautiful house. And we've talked about real estate in Lawrence.
In Lawrence,
before.
it's pretty cheap.
So
yeah, like John was a mechanic. Oh my god! Wait, John was a mechanic. Do you think like he had like a family business that Dean took over after he died or something?
Oh, fuck off.
Anyway, yeah, but John could pay for a whole house on a mechanic's salary. That woman in Home could pay for a house despite being unemployed and recently divorced. So yeah, I guess it makes sense. Again, this was before the housing crash.
I was surprised by the size of Dean's home. Like, he has a walk-in closet. And I know that walk-in closets are a little bit more common in other places, I guess. But I was like, wow, he's really living the life.
Yeah, he probably has a washing machine too.
have a washing machine.
Okay, it was the dryer. It was the dryer that you didn't have for a while.
We don't have a dryer.
Yeah.
They probably
that's common in a lot of
universe.
Asian countries because like hang drying is so common.
Yeah, we don't have a dryer. Yeah. It's miserable because it's been stormy recently.
No.
One time I washed my clothes and I hanged them up and then it rained and I was like, fuck it, we ball, and I just let them dry still. I didn't rewash them. So yeah.
Yeah, so true.
Anyway, Dean attacks Sam and gets him down after just one like push or something.
Yeah, and it's the exact
like,
same
wow.
like shot and angle and attack as in the pilot. Did you think at first that Dean was like Sam and I aren't talking, I'm gonna rekindle our friendship by recreating the pilot?
No, you know what? Because I know what Dean says about the pilot in the finale. That actually makes me so sad. Because apparently, like...
he stood outside for hours not knowing whether or not he, like, would be welcome or whether or not he could come in. And he was so scared.
Literally, Dean, your plan is to fucking attack this guy while, like, in the middle of the fucking night. Like, of course you won't be welcome. But I digress. Dean is like, wow, that was so easy. I'm actually quite embarrassed for you. And then
it's because Sam only has strong calves because he got to play soccer when he wanted to when he was little. His arm strength is nothing.
Yeah. He gets Sam up, and it's the same silhouette shot from the pilot yet again. And then Sam opens the light and he notices that Dean is actually stealing from their mom's silver utensil collection. Which is like bad luck. And then Sam asks like, what's the deal with you? Why are you doing this? Steal mom's silver? And Dean is like, well, I had no choice. Sam pushes and you think Dean is gonna confess. But he just says, like, I owe someone some money. But then he starts talking and, like, if you put yourself in the situation of someone who doesn't know what's going on, he's talking like he's about to commit suicide. Yeah. So, like, Sam is, like, alarmed. He's saying, like, I'm sorry that we don't get along and I wish that I could stay and fix it. Tell mom how I love her, stuff like that. And then he walks out and he hops into his car. But just before he leaves, Sam steps into the car.
Yeah, I like this scene where Sam comes into the car. Right, like Dean tells him to get out and Sam says like, I'm going with you. And, Dean's being like, you're gonna slow me down, you're gonna get hurt. And Sam says, like, look, whatever stupid thing you're about to do, you're not doing it alone. And that's that. And Dean's like, I don't get it. Why are you being nice to me? And Sam says, because you're still my brother. And I don't know.
And I know.
It's sweet.
I know that this scene, yeah, it is sweet. I know that this scene is just the Jinn trying to stop Dean. Yeah. But it's still sweet.
Yeah, and I feel like,
still
like if this universe was real, like this is realistic for the Sam there. Like, yeah, he might have a lot of issues with Dean, but he doesn't want him to fucking die. Yeah. And then Dean says, bitch, and Sam says, what are you calling me a bitch for? Which made me scream. Feminist women love Sam Winchester.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Dean's like, you're supposed to say jerk. And Sam's like, what? And Dean's like, well, never mind. And they drive off.
Yeah. At some point, Sam is like, "Oh, what's in the bag?" Kind of like playfully. And Dean is like, "Well, nothing." And Sam's like, "Nothing? Okay." And then he takes like a bag from between him and Dean. And he he takes out a container. It's full of fucking blood. And he's like, Dean, what is this?
And Dean doesn't
and
clarify
like,
that it's not human blood for the longest time.
Yeah. He's like, it's blood. And then Sam's like, yeah, I can see that it's blood. Dean was like, well, I needed lamb's blood because I needed a silver knife dipped in lamb's blood. And Sam was like, okay, maybe we can stop the car. And then Dean is like, no, it's fine. And Sam was like, no, yeah, I know it's fine, but just stop the car. But Dean explains that, there's a creature, a djinn, and that he needs to hunt it, and that, there's creepy crawlies in the night, etc., etc. But Sam insists that, like, I just want to help. You're having some kind of breakdown.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, also, but Dean says people have to be saved, and if we don't save them, then nobody will. And also, we learned during the grave scene that every single case that he or Sam or John ever worked went unsolved, and that's just not realistic. That's some individualistic, like, American bullshit. Like, there are other hunters. Yeah. Like, Bobby exists. Like, I don't think it's true that every single case that they solved, they were the only ones who could have fixed the situation and the only ones who would have noticed. Like, that's dumb. Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah. Some point, Sam tries to call someone on his phone. Dean opens a window and tosses the phone out, and Sam says, "What the hell was that, Dean? That was my phone."
And wait, how am I gonna email like more people and say, "Darn,
Christian Cooper," or whatever his name was? And Dean says, like, "I'm not going to in the rubber room. We got work to do." And Sam is like,
falls asleep.
"I'm just trying to help you out, Dean. I don't want you to get hurt." And this is the part where it's like the djinn is trying. It's really trying to get Dean to stop. They end up in front of this old factory in Illinois.
Sam fell asleep despite Dean blasting Mr. Saturday Night the whole time.
Not only is he blasting Mr. Saturday Night, Sam also is in the mindset that his brother is having some kind of really probably very dangerous breakdown. Yeah. And he still fell asleep.
What a king.
Yeah.
It's because he didn't have his phone. He could have played Candy Crush to stay awake if he was getting really sleepy, but Dean threw it out the window.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, Dean wakes up and, yeah, they're in an old factory in Illinois. And Sam's following Dean around, and he keeps trying to tell Dean to turn back, that there's nothing here. And then they start hearing sounds, and they go into a room, and it's those bodies that Dean saw in his closet hanging from the ceiling. And they're all, like, hooked up to, like, a blood bag. Right, and the girl that Dean saw earlier is there, too, but she is alive. So the djinn comes out, and they hide. The girl keeps crying and asking where her dad is. It's a pretty difficult scene to watch. But he puts her back to sleep, and then he takes out the blood that he's drained from her, and, like, he like takes the tube and he like just sort of squirts the blood in his mouth.
I respect
that. But yeah, it's a little juice bag. He's got his Capri Sun. And oh yeah, and I mean obviously in Jin lore they don't feed on like blood like this. Yeah, in case you were like, this is in the Quran. So yeah, Sam makes a little like ugh sound. So but they are able to move before the Jinn finds their hiding place. And Sam's like, oh my god, like this is real and you're not crazy. And Dean's like, oh, like she thought she was with her dad at the time. She didn't know where she was. So this isn't like a wish being fulfilled. It's just like a vision that you're having while you're tied up.
Yeah.
And he looks up at his light bulb, and in it he sees flashes of himself hanging by his wrists and being fed on. And Sam keeps being like, Dean, stop having a revelation! Dean, shut up! But Dean's like, oh god, I'm tied up somewhere and this is all in my head. Dun dun dun!
They do some exposition on how the Jinn does it, which is like, he feeds me poison and then I go to sleep, blah blah blah. And Sam keeps on saying, like, it doesn't make any sense. We need to get out of here. Like, you're right, but we need to get out of here. And this keeps on going and going and going until Mary shows up.
Right, because Dean holds up takes out his knife first, right? And he says, like, if you almost die in a dream, you'll wake up, so I'm just gonna stab myself.
Yeah, and then Sam is like, you're gonna die, and Dean is like, I'm gonna die or I'm gonna wake up, one or the other. So I'll just stab myself. And then like Sam keeps on like touching him and being like, I'm real, this is not some acid trip, I'm real. As he's about to trust in the knife, Mary shows up, and the way she shows up is she's in a fucking nightgown again.
God. Killing and death.
I'm surprised they even put her in any other piece of clothing. Honestly.
She should have shown up in her black dress with her hair up out to the club in this abandoned factory.
Sam changes like his demeanor and he's suddenly like standing up straight and talking very not Sam-like, and he's like, you should have stopped digging.
Yeah. Also, Carmen and Jess appear at this point.
Oh my god.
Which is why I was like, Dean's about to kill himself and Sam summons a girl band to stop. It's just a very striking moment when you're like, oh, in this episode, none of the women are real people. And none of them have personalities. And they're just here to give Dean motivations. While the Sam, even the fake Sam, like, has a personality and a life and, like, a storyline.
Yeah. And then, Mary comes in, holds Dean's face, and Dean, like, leans into the touch shit again. And he's like, put the knife down. And they start this thing where they tag team. And Mary's like, Dean, you shan't kill yourself. And then she lets go, and then Carmen comes in and kisses him and it's like, don't kill yourself, Dean. And then like Jess doesn't come in, she just stands in the distance and she's like, Sam is gonna be happy. And it's so funny to me that like the one thing Jess says is like about another person.
Yeah, like
she has
it's
no
not like I'm cool and we can hang out. It's like yeah, but
like it's not like I get to live again. Like,
right.
me and Sam, like, she doesn't even say me and Sam we get to have a life. Like, she just says Sam gets to have a life. And it's like, my God, girl, where are you in this equation?
Right. Though, I think the thing she says where she says you don't have to worry about Sam anymore is, I think, the only moment in this episode that they maybe nod towards the finale. Because, you know, like, a world where Mary doesn't die is a world where Sam doesn't have demon blood.
Then finally Sam walks up and says, why do you have to save everyone? Why is it your job? Haven't we done enough? And this is basically like what Dean said earlier, like, and then he like says like, give me the knife. Dean tearfully looks at everyone.
Well, he doesn't look at Jess. The camera pans from Carmen to Sam to Mary because Jess has been standing behind him the whole time. I think it'd be hilarious if right after that the camera swivels around to show Jess and she just gives a little wave.
Exactly. But is he crying at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
He's like looking teary-eyed. But he thrusts the knife into his belly.
Goodbye.
And yeah.
And we see
Sam starts screaming like Dean, 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 but it transitions to Sam.
Real Sam.
In real life. Real Sam, who's now waking Dean up from sleep.
Yep. So he shakes him awake, and Dean makes like a Wizard of Oz reference. He says, Auntie M, there's no place like home. He's a friend of Dorothy for real.
There's a part where Sam removes a needle from Dean's neck that made me flinch. Like, it's like, it looked so real. And I was like,
but you know what's worse is when they rescue that girl and Sam uses his knife to remove the needle from her neck. Like, what? Yeah, he takes like a little blade and he like does a thing. Girl. Misogyny. Girl. Should we give Dean like a point for this episode just because this is his imagination and everything that happened there was like interesting?
Well, I mean, we are not the thought police. I feel like we should punish people for their actions and not their thoughts. That's true. And this is just a thought for Dean.
I guess, but I feel like if Dean was like, I hate gay people, like in the dream, we'd give him a homophobia point because it'd still be him like expressing his opinions out loud.
No. Hot take of the day. You should be allowed to hate gay people inside your head.
Okay, no point for Dean. Sam cuts through like half the ropes, but then the djinn appears, and Sam and the djinn brawl for a bit, and and the djinn's about to try to put him to sleep, but then Dean escapes his ropes, and he thrusts his knife into the djinn, and it dies. So this is where we get to, I think, our last fact from B about djinns, and it's that basically the only ways you can protect yourself from a djinn is through reciting verses of the Quran, and you have to be like an actual Muslim for that to work. You can't just say it. Yeah, and the only way to defeat a djinn, you can't actually kill them. You can exorcise them.
You have to exorcise.
Yeah, you have to exorcise them. And it has to be someone with a lot of Islamic knowledge, like an imam. And, you know, because they could, like, time travel and alter reality and all of that, it doesn't make sense that they'd be able to defeat this creature anyway, because, like, he could just be like, you have a knife, no you don't.
Yeah, and
and this is like a thing where, okay, like, first of all, like, they didn't need to make the creature a djinn, like, they could have just made up a new thing, because all they really needed was this dream sequence. And if they actually really wanted to do a Jinn episode, I don't see why, like, one of the people they consult could be, like, an actual imam, and, like, they could, like, bring this person along on the hunt. Like, I feel like a lot of, like, the, like, religious or, like, folklore creatures that they defeat, there's no reason why they, like, can't, like, team up with people with that cultural knowledge and background. Like, it doesn't have to be Sam and Dean killing the thing every time. Like, maybe sometimes they just do the research.
Yeah, like, we've said multiple times, but, like, bring people along.
Yeah.
Like,
no, if we don't save them, no one will.
Yeah, and, like, for example, like, I mean, they don't even have to convince, like, the lore inside Supernatural is already that a lot of Muslim people believe in jinns anyway, so they don't have to convince,
right?
Like, they don't have to beg a person to be like, can you help us defeat a jinn?
Like, and they'd be like, there's, like, something here that we think is a jinn, like, can you help us exorcise it? And, like, they'd probably be like, yes, because that's a bad thing, and I know how to defeat it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, part of our nose is, like, jinns specifically are not exactly, like, just bad creatures.
That's true, yeah.
Like, in all of lore. They're not necessarily monsters. They're more, like, humans with superpowers. And also, like, some of them are actually, like, religious, as in, like, positively. And then the negative, what's the term? Like, the bad ones are, like, usually, like, supplementing dark wizards and stuff. So, like, I don't know. Maybe we could have had a Jinn versus Jinn battle.
Yeah.
Like, something Wani said that, like, I was like, oh, that's interesting, is that, like we said earlier, like, it's such a missed potential because the lore is really very deep. Like, there is a lot to jinns. So it is like, the Striga, for example, they had, like, a bit of lore for that, right? Like with the Striga episode, it was like there was lore, and also there was emotional Sam and Dean stuff happening in the episode. So, like, they could have done it here too. That they could have had, like, a Sam and Dean episode, and they could have had the lore to come along with it. Or if they just wanted to do the dream sequence so bad, just stick to that. You know,
you could just make up a creature, or I'm sure there's other creatures that, like, put you in a dream state.
Yeah.
Well. But yeah, he's dead from a knife. Okay. Right, and they rescue the girl, with Sam using a fucking blade to get the IV out. And, yeah. So we cut to a motel room, and Dean's flipping through a magazine, and this is where he sees the beer ad with Carmen in it. And the ad says, like, go someplace better or something. So, yeah, and Sam, who's wearing his iconic, like, white shirt with, like, the floral-ish, like, light pattern on it. You know the shirt.
Yeah. The one that he broke his arm in.
Yeah, it also is the shirt that he wears when Dean confronts him about drinking demon blood in season 4.
Yeah, this scene looks exactly like that scene. Like, the color scheme of the room is the same. So I was like, why is this familiar? Why is this familiar to me? And I was like, oh, it's because this one looks like the scene where he beats Dean up.
Yeah, go girl. So, yeah, the girl was in the hospital. She's gonna be okay. He asks if Dean's okay, and he's like, I'm alright. You should have seen it, Sam. Our lives. You were such a wussy.
You were such a wussy.
I called you bitch, and you said, why did you call me a bitch? So, Yeah, Sam's like, oh, so we didn't get along. I thought it was supposed to be this perfect fantasy. And Dean was like, no, it just granted the one wish for Mom to live. Which means that women are just like this. Like, just normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we never went hunting, so you and me just never, like, connected. And Sam says, yeah, well, I'm glad we do. I'm glad we hunt,
Wild.
Dean. And I'm glad you dug yourself out. Most people wouldn't have the strength. And Dean's like, yeah, but, like, you had Jess, and Mom was gonna have grandkids. Really, like, Dean was like, you and Jess want kids. You will impregnate her. I have decided this. Okay. Yeah, but he's like, but Dean, it wasn't real. And Dean says, like, yeah, I know, but I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay so bad. Because ever since Dad died, all I can think about is how much this job has cost us. We've lost so much and sacrificed so much. And so it's like, well, but people are alive because of you. It's worth it. He didn't say it like that, but that is how I view the lines. It's not fair, and it hurts like hell, but it's worth it. And Dean, like, looks sad, and that's the end of the episode. What is this ending?
Is there an episode a little bit back that, like, ends
Yes,
kind of
Hunted,
like this?
which is written by Rael Tucker, which is pretty much the
How does that
exact
one
same
end?
thing.
What's Hunted? What episode is that?
It's the one where they call the cops on Gordon, right?
Oh god. Okay. I've completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, let me make sure it's actually Hunted.
Oh! I know what I'm thinking.
Or maybe, is it even Hunted? Wait, okay, because the transcript said that the flashback at the beginning was from Hunted, but is it? Screw
No, the episode I'm thinking of is the one with the one with the fucking Houses of the Holy.
What happens in that one?
It ends with a motel talk too.
Well, okay, so, wait, so you said it was shot like Houses of the Holy, this scene? Because at the end of Hunted, Dean is the one who goes like, screw the job, I'm sick of the job, all we get is bad luck. And that's the one where Sam goes like, but come on, dude, you're a hunter. It's what you were meant to do. That feels a lot like this scene.
Yeah. Oh, the one where Dean is like, okay, I got it. The one that ends with like the Dean beauty shot.
Is that at the end of Hunted? I thought that was at the end of Bloodlust.
Yeah,
no, that's the
they
end of
zoom in on
Bloodlust.
Dean's face. Yeah. Oh, what episode is fucking Haunted?
It's the one where with Ava and Gordon's like shooting at Sam, and also this is where they find out that.
Oh, this is the episode where I was drunk.
Yeah, there we go. Right, it's where we find out that John told Dean to kill Sam. Yeah, that one. And the one where you were drunk and Crystal had half an hour of
That's
sleep.
why I don't remember it. That's why I don't remember
There we
it.
go.
There we go. Okay, so I mean we've discussed what we think about this episode, but has it changed in the span of the last 2 hours that we've been talking?
Think because
Jesus
we've
Christ.
made more jokes about it, I like it even less than I did before, because the like emotional parts are like, well, I said them in a silly voice, so were they even that emotional?
I mean, I still everything I said earlier in the episode I still hold. So, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever.
How about best line, worst line? I did not even pay attention to any lines.
I
in this
wrote down
episode.
beforehand what my best line was, and it was, what are you calling me a bitch for?
I think my best line is I'll recite the whole thing yet again. But my best line is, "Hey, dude. How are you doing? How are you doing, man? I'm doing pretty darn good. I've been meaning to sit down and write you, but I've been so darn busy. I've been meaning to call too, but hey.
What's a fella to do?
What's a fella to do?" I love that he puts the "hey" in there. Like, he's like, hey. What's a fella to do?
What's a fella to do?
My worst line is, "I know why you're the one." Or whatever. I don't even know the wording of that part. But like when Dean tells Carmen, like, "This is why you're the one." And it's like,
for what?
She has not shown an ounce of personality this entire episode.
Death and killing. My least favorite is when Sam says, "Well, I'm glad we do," about hunting.
No, I think that's actually, now that I think about it, I think that's a response to Dean being like, we don't connect.
But okay, it's just
we don't,
me just never, Yeah, maybe. Okay, fine.
I think it's like,
fine. Yeah, maybe. You're right. In that case, do I have to find a new?
No, it's fine. Leave it be. This recording has gone on for so long. Okay, IMDb rating.
It's a highly rated episode. I
Is
think
it?
So.
I hate it.
I'm gonna go with a 9.
I'll go with an 8.7. I think that's high enough.
Okay.
Holy shit,
What?
man. 9.3.
Fucking what? Is that the highest we've seen?
No, I think we had a...
We've only had 9.2
9.2 was
before.
season finale or something.
Jesus Christ. Seriously? No one likes Sam. No one cares about Sam.
Brilliant and wonderfully heart-wrenching. Must see. Outstanding. Splendidly done. Absolute hands-down brilliance.
Absolute hands-down
That was just a dream. I hate this episode. I don't even want to read any of the reviews.
I'm skimming them, but I'm not seeing anything. This one says it's a great insight into the character development of the two main protagonists. Are you sure both of them? You're saying it developed both of them?
Nobody. Ugh, I hate.
This one says, like, Faith in season 1. This is Supernatural at its best.
And we know how we feel about Faith.
Well.
Okay, that's it for this episode of Bus Station Beauties. Next week, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 29, All Hell Breaks Loose, Part 1. Also, we would like to thank Wani, Angel Hannah, for their input into, like, Jin lore and stuff. I love that we just say the word lore now for everything, even for real life stuff. Like, it is lore. Thank you, Sam Winchester. But thank you, Manny. Thank you so much. And you guys should check out their art. Like,
so
at Angel
I commissioned them,
so
like, last week for... Well, I guess it'll be several weeks now, but it's like a drawing of Cass and Eileen drinking milkshakes, and it's very, very cute. Follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at twitter.com/beautiespodcast and on Tumblr at bustyasianbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is BABPOD, BABPod, and thanks to everyone who's donated to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/bustyasianbeautiespod.
You can email us any feedback, comments, or inquiries at bustyasianbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.